Well, I mean, according to every announcer in the world, if you ask Matt Fitzpatrick what his favorite win was this year, it's by far the one that got his brother into.
Well, that's a good place to start. So, leading into the BMW Championship,
Hi, welcome
right?
back. It's nice to
Even
see you
Rory
too.
McIlroy. This is a quick hitting episode, so I don't have time for your niceties, Matt.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Rolling into the BMW Championship, we even had Rory at a press conference saying, "Scottie Scheffler is the Player of the Year. It's a slam dunk.
Slam dunk.
Have a nice day."
Yep.
And then Wyndham Clark went and won the BMW, who's a former major winner of this past year. He won
This year.
the U.S.
US
Open.
Open. Yeah.
Right. And that vaulted him to 3 total wins on the season, which is more than Scottie Scheffler. So as we roll into the Tour Championship, it does become a question, or it's certainly more of a question than it was before the week started. Who is the Player of the Year? Now,
Well,
for anyone who doesn't know, it's a vote by peers on the tour. This isn't
that's
like
right.
sports writers or
Yep.
doing the MVP awards or like the NFL. This is chosen by players on the tour. So, based on Rory's press conference, you would think that we are going to defer to Scotty. However, Matt, you were saying,
Well, I just think it's a much more interesting race now, Sunday,
Yep.
than it was Thursday. Because statistically, Scotty is nobody's had more top 10s, nobody's had more top 5s, he has done every single thing other than win 6 or 7 times like he did the last 2 or 3 years, which is absurd that we're talking about it like he had a bad year. But he did win
Yeah.
only once. He won the Amex, and then last week he comes out and he absolutely dominates. He wins going away, and it feels like the icing on the
Vint-
cake.
Vintage Scotty last week, right?
And then
And
Yeah.
Wyndham, I think, had a little chip on his shoulder. I think he plays better with like that anyway. And he comes out and he says, "Well, I won the U.S. Open and I can't remember what the other one was that he won.
I think what ends up happening though is there's this discussion of what matters more between consistency and week in and week out play and wins. Like how much do you value those wins and how much do those catapult you up the rankings versus consistency week in, week out? For me, I'm thinking that I value consistency because if you look at another sport, whether football, hockey, whatever it might be, the team that is the most consistent is likely racking up that higher win total versus the team that gets hot and just barely makes the playoffs. That type of analogy. So
Okay.
I side with Rory on this one. I'm in with Scotty. I like the consistency. And I also think that he set the bar so high for himself last year when he won 6 or 7 times, however, that Matt, you kind of said it. It's not like he had a bad year this year. It wasn't the tiger-like year that we had kind of come to expect from Scotty.
Right. And to your point, Jamie, if you look at the money list, Scottie Scheffler is number 1 at 20 million. The next closest guy is at 14.
Wow.
In FedEx Cup points, Scottie Scheffler is at 4,900. The next closest is at 3,400. And Scotty's those points and those earnings are based on showing up and hanging some second places and some T2s, T4s at the big events. So, his bad year was like 2 or 3 strokes away from being another barn burner record-setting year. So that's really the argument for Scotty is even with his C game, he's he's still far and away leading the money list and the FedEx Cup point race. The argument becomes the win question. And let's and man, I know you got something to say there, but to kind of focus in on like who are the contenders here?
Yeah.
We're really talking about, if you're looking at wins, you're talking about Scottie Scheffler, who, right, the 2 wins. But then the 3 win guys are Matt Fitzpatrick, Wyndham Clark now with 3, and Chris Gotterup.
Yep.
And then you've got Scottie Scheffler at 2 wins, Cameron Young at 2 wins, one of which was at the Players,
Yep.
And then some people want to throw Rory into the conversation based largely on the Masters. I don't think, and for me, I don't know, unless either of you are want to push all in on Rory, I want to eliminate him from the conversation right away. Not that I have anything against Rory. I think he's great. Big fan of Rory. One major, and then really not, let's be honest, he really hasn't played all that much.
No,
I think he's only
don't
played
think he's
10
in the
events.
conversation.
I think
Right.
even just from
it's an issue.
from that protocol or from that standard, we can just eliminate him. But he didn't play enough, and he played a bunch on the DP World Tour. He took the year to really be with his family, which I'm all for. I think he's in the place in the age where that's the appropriate response to play the ones you want to play. But I don't think even if he had won today, I don't really think you consider him one of the contenders. I think for sure I think you have to consider Gotterup and you have to consider Fitzpatrick. For me, I would take Fitzpatrick out, if only because one of those wins was the shared win at the team event. So it's a half win. I'm sure that one means more to him than it does than the other ones do, just given the fact that he got his brother on tour. His brother finished 20th in the FedEx Cup. He's going to the Tour Championship in his first year, which is astonishing. So,
yeah, well,
and that
was
sentimental
a great
value
story too. I was
amazing.
Yeah, and I was thrilled to see that, like, when they won that, it's not like his brother got some sort of charity case and now he's on the tour. Like, he instantly contended in a lot of tournaments. Like, he legit belongs on the tour, you know. So that, but to your point, Matt maybe has kind of 2.5 wins, not 3.
Yep.
Cameron Young.
Okay, sure.
Make
let's
a case for
let's dig in
Cameron
there.
Young.
I cannot.
Right? Players Championship. You will often, you know, that's the 5th major. Blah blah blah. Who cares? But it is, you know, I mean, you've got to have a well-rounded game, right? You know, so it's no cupcake. It's certainly, it's not a major, but it's certainly an elevated event.
Wait.
Let's not forget.
Are you just saying this because you're playing that course later this year?
Yeah, I want you to know how well-rounded my game is. Yeah. But then let's not forget. I mean, I don't know. I can't recall where he placed in some of the others. But
can I give you a little rundown? I got some stats. Here. So he wins the Players. He wins the Cadillac Championship. That's another big event, right? So that was he won 3.6 mil. So that's a elevated event. He finishes
he's second on the money list.
He finishes second at the Open. He finishes third at the Masters, and he finishes third at the Arnold Palmer. So it isn't like he had a bad year. But again, if we're talking consistency, those are the other tournaments that he played. He had several missed cuts. He had several just barely made the cut. Didn't really like. Again, if we're just talking consistency, it's really hard to root against Scottie. And I was going to take the position. I was going to come in and say Wyndham really did throw a thing in the like a wrench in the gears. But yes, the U.S. Open, yes, and played convincingly, had the 54-hole lead, and then went out on Sunday in a volatile crowd with Scottie and outplayed him. Right, so that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Wins the CJ Cup, comes out here and just again now paired with Rory. People are rooting for Rory, yelling, get in the bunker again to Wyndham. And he manages to win by, I think he won by 3. I think it's the final. But birdie's the last 3 holes too. He tried. He tried his best to make it good TV. But I just think ultimately what it comes down to is it's going to be hard to say, again, consistency. How many second place finishes does Scottie have this year?
I hear you. And I can ask this, and I will ask this about every player not named Scottie. What if, so back to Cameron Young, what if he wins next week? Does that move him across the line?
No,
and make him the player of the year?
I don't think that changes. Now, I think the better question with Cam Young is, had he not hit the lip on the bunker on 18 at the Open?
Well, he might be the Open champion.
If he's the Open champion, I think that changes the whole narrative of everything. And he was
3
very,
wins,
very
one of
close
them's a Players and one of them's a major.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But so
it's still Scottie.
Baby.
It's still Scottie though.
Here's some fun stats on Scottie. He's number 1 in strokes gained. He's number 1 in scoring average. He's 3rd in strokes gained putting. He's 4th in strokes gained off the tee. He's 6th in strokes gained approach to green. He's 29th in driving accuracy. He's first in greens and reg. He's first in scrambling. He's first in birdie average. He's first in par 4 performance. I mean, the guy is a machine. And this could be wrong
So he's
now, but I
good.
believe 2 weeks ago, one of the announcers said that statistically, this is actually his best year on tour in all of those, like as a whole. He just didn't win.
Well, like, Matt, do you remember how bad he was at putting? Not like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, putting was like this
Yeah.
huge, he was like almost last or third last on tour, and
He
now
was,
he's
I
third.
think he was in the,
So
something crazy.
his ball striking this year wasn't nearly as good as it was, and he's managed to elevate another part of his game. So it's
But he's still first in all of those categories, which is that's insanity. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's probably just an exercise. This is probably just an exercise in us arguing about the same. We're all probably going to end up at the same result. But I do love that Wyndham went out today and just absolutely was like, you can't discount me. And I will say, if he wins next week, I don't know how you can ignore that. You can't ignore 2 playoff wins, the FedEx Cup, a U.S. Open, I mean, a major, and like that's a
and I think you said the CJ Cup.
Crazy.
And the only I don't think Gotterup's really in the running, but the only point on him that I wanted to make was we've kind of seen this flash in the pan of like this really streaky play before when he what was it? He won the Scottish Open, and then he had a really
Won the
good run
Scottish
at
last
the
year.
Open or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because he made like this really big push almost right before to get into the Ryder Cup. He wasn't picked.
Mhm.
So I feel like we've seen this from him before. Let's see what Gotterup does next year, leading into the season before we start crowning him anything more than a streaky player.
For sure. But I will say he also had a great end of the year. He had a great beginning where he won. I think he won all 3 of those basically early in the season, and then he had a good end of the year where he played well this weekend. He played well last week. So he's one of those guys that definitely is streaky. I agree. I'm really curious to see if he can put together another year next year that's probably won't be as good. But my God.
So let me make sure I understand though. If Wyndham were to win next week, he has double the amount of wins that Scottie Scheffler would have. And we're still thinking that's not enough to make him player of the year. Is that what we're saying?
For me, if he wins next week, he's the player of the year. I think the wins in these big events trump everything else. You beat a field of 50 of the best in the game, and then the field of 30 of the best
30.
in the game.
Yeah,
exactly. So if he comes out, so he'd already beat 50, or he beat 49. If he beats another 29 of the same guys on a completely different course, that I don't think historically has played great at Eastlake. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. But I also love that you can't discount any one of the guys that is in that top 30 because they all start. It's a level playing field. So yeah, it's exciting.
Well, and let's be honest, the math says the chances that you're going to win on the PGA Tour back-to-back elevated these FedEx Cup events, pretty remote, right? But I'm not going to say never, but it's a tall order. So I think our conclusion is Scottie Scheffler is probably the player of the year, but we'll see. That's why they play the game, right?
For sure. And we'll just give a quick little shout out. Patrick Cantlay, his solo second moved him into the final week. He moved up 24 spots. Gary Woodland, great to see him. He had a good T4. Yeah, really cool. And then I'm not sure how I feel about this one, even though he's a fellow lefty. Robert McIntyre at T7 managed to sneak into the top 30 as well. Unfortunately, another Cobra player that I quite like, Ricky Fowler, did not have a good enough week and actually dropped out of the top 30. So it was actually kind of a fun bubble to track a little bit because there was some movement there. I don't remember that being the case year over year. So just a couple of names to drop into there.
Yeah, love it. All right.
Cool.
So remember, post tour championship, whoever won, we told you so. Thanks for listening,
That's right.
everybody.
That's exactly right. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.